Welcome to Rooted Within with Lily and Dan, a podcast that shines a spotlight on positive change makers sharing their stories of legacy, inspiration, and impact.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon, Lily. You got in there first.
I get in there first whenever I can, because whenever you get in first, it throws me off.
It completely throws you off.
Throws me
You're
off.
throwing me off right now.
Have I?
Yeah, a
All right,
little
well,
bit.
we'll jump straight in.
Of course.
We'll jump straight into it. Who do we have in the studio today?
Mahmoud is joining us in the studio today. Hi, Mahmoud.
Welcome. Good afternoon, Dan and Lily.
Hello.
How are you? It's good to have you here.
Good. It's really good to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Anytime.
I always feel like I'm in your lounge room, because as soon as you introduce me, you go, oh, we go way back. We've known each other. I'm like,
No, I'm literally going through like a
We're going
database
through
of
that at the
personal
moment.
connections for guests. There's always a
they're
history.
all
But
incredibly interesting
I was going to say, but
people.
we have had history because we met a couple of years ago and you've been helping us with all of our branded products for
We have. It's been an
t-shirts and
interesting journey. Yeah, to do that.
Interesting is an interesting word.
Yeah, it's been definitely something that I've really enjoyed doing.
yeah,
Merchandise is something that I've always wanted to do,
yeah.
and making it sustainable is
But it's
definitely
not what you've always
something-
done,
I was
is
going to say,
it?
because we're going to get to that bit
Yeah.
eventually, but that wasn't
Hold
where you
that,
began.
hold that
No,
thought.
I haven't.
All right, take us back.
Okay, so is it before COVID? Where
Way
are
before.
we?
Go way back where you want to
way
go back to.
Where, you know, is
Like,
it
how
like,
do you get here? Where you're from? Like
where's
wherever.
home? Where's home?
Home is Dubai, really.
Yeah.
Originally from Palestine, born and raised here in the land of the UAE.
So you watched the UAE evolve.
Yes,
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, when I was
I
in,
was going to say, can I ask how many years that has been?
31.
So you're
I just
31.
turned 31 last week. So
Congrats.
thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. So when I growing up, especially in like at the time I was going to university, Dubai wasn't like JBR. You know the
Yeah.
JBR walk. That was
Nothing
just
Didn't
a
was
beach.
exist, did it?
Yeah.
That was just a beach at the time. JLT was not like even
Yeah.
So were you at
existing.
the time when Sheikh Zayed Road was not Sheikh Zayed Road?
No, that was Sheikh Zayed Road, but the furthest, the biggest landmark at the time was MOE, and there was nothing after that.
Got you.
And that was sort of in the middle of nowhere as
Exactly.
well, right?
Yeah. So there was no canal. So even
It's
this
evolved massively
Yeah.
in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you would, like, I'm gonna ask some basic questions.
on.
What'd you study at uni then?
Business management.
Mhm.
So it was very general.
Yeah.
I guess I was always a generalist. I never could find
Yeah.
something that I can specialize in. And so even with my education, I didn't specialize in something.
It wasn't like a clear direction. You're gonna be, I'm gonna go be a dentist.
No, definitely not.
And is that because you didn't know what you wanted to do at the time?
Well, I always wanted to do something in business, but I wasn't sure where or how I'm gonna
So you were an
start.
entrepreneur.
I guess before I even knew it.
Before we realized it, yeah.
I then started. I did my master's in international business, University of Wollongong in Australia.
Good old Aussies.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
Oh, we're great people.
Relaxed though.
They're very,
It-
very
it-
I mean,
it's
sometimes a
very-
little bit too relaxed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And then also in my master's, I wasn't generalized. I wasn't specialized,
Yeah.
and it was very general. I had the option to specialize in marketing, but I didn't want to, just to not be boxed into a specific like category. And I guess when I graduated and I started applying for jobs, it was just very difficult because it was marketing specialist or a HR coordinator, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted because it was just I had so many interests that I wanted to, experiment in, or I wanted to try.
So where'd you end up?
So I ended up interesting. I ended up working as a sales executive just about 3 months after I came back from Australia, and for 5 weeks. But it didn't work out. I guess there was just I was fired.
I love this.
For anything in
I
particular?
love
Like,
this.
it didn't
There's
work
no
out.
way to
I was
go
fired.
around it. Yeah, I was fired. 5 weeks in, and I just had canceled my visa, which was and my
Can I
means
ask
of
why you were
staying.
fired?
So I guess the role was just opened up, and there wasn't, and the company was growing fast, and there was not a clear, let's say, expectation or rules of engagement where I was, that I needed to fill, and I guess they wanted someone more experienced, but
Okay.
I was just available at the time, and there was a lot of miscommunication, I think, and misunderstandings there.
Yeah.
And that's how it went. So that was the
Sounds
first.
like you dodged a bullet by the sounds of it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
100%.
That definitely gave me a lot of reasons to do what I'm doing today.
Yeah. And what happened after that then? So you obviously you get fired, and then what?
So I looked. I kept applying for jobs for several months after that, and then I had this idea: why don't I? Because I was always interested in so many different areas.
Yeah.
Let me just start a business, and it wasn't that easy. It wasn't that simple.
And at that time, was
Especially
it like
back
any
then.
business?
Sorry.
At that time, was it like I'm going to start any business? Did you know what you wanted to create? What type of business?
Exactly. I didn't know exactly what I wanted.
You just wanted
to do.
business.
I just wanted to do something and create something from scratch.
Yeah.
And just build something.
And be your own boss.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the experience with the previous company definitely gave me a reason. Kind of like I wanted to prove myself somehow. But the mistake I made, I think, when choosing the industry, was that I was chasing the money out of it. I wasn't. It was just for me to start and build something from scratch, but it didn't really line up with my own personal goals of making an impact.
Yeah.
So I ended up, as an entrepreneur, you start a business and you want the money, but the money doesn't come in the first few months,
Well,
few
in
They
years.
say,
reality-
what they say, well, back then, the rule of thumb was for the first 3 years, if you break even, you're doing well.
Yeah. And also the reality is, I think when you're starting a business, you have to start it for like reasons of passion and interest, because you're going to put so much effort into it. You're not going to see any money, so it can't be financially
chasing
driven.
money is
The money will
ultimately
come.
not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The money will come eventually.
Yeah, and
So
for
what was the first business?
it was called Entree Laundry.
Okay.
And so it was based in Deira, and then so the first year or two was just
So why?
a disaster.
But did you choose laundry because it was quite lucrative then? It was deemed lucrative.
It's okay. So I thought this will sound weird. So I
We
thought
like weird.
I thought I'll start a business, but I want the safer route.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll use I'll choose an industry that is tested.
Yeah.
And
There is a
everyone-
demand.
And needed.
Yeah,
there's
demand
a need.
needed. But at the same time, it was just a price kind of war that I got myself into in this industry, and we kind of exposed ourselves a bit wide in the beginning with the setup, and we decided to start our own operation as well, and instead of just outsourcing
Yeah,
to
and
test
also
out the
because
waters.
if you start your own operation, I'm guessing that's significant in terms
That's a
of
big
machinery,
overhead. Big
manpower.
overhead.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like how you launder clothes. Like it must be quite labor intensive.
It was labor intensive, and so that was the major, I think, for me, the major disconnect, because here I am, just came back from Australia, and excited to do something, and I'm having this language barrier that I had with the staff was just a very big challenge for me, and I couldn't communicate exactly what I wanted to, to translate. I also didn't know anything about laundry.
I was going to say, like, you didn't have any experience in this.
But I was just very excited to just
Have a business.
and like create something from scratch and
Yeah.
just prove to myself and to my family that that we can do it.
So I'm guessing, like, sorry, I'm just thinking, like, as an industry, I'm guessing there's process, I'm guessing there's quality control, there's so many layers of washing people's clothes, like, people probably don't even realize. So then if you start
Sort
a
of need
business
to be
and
a chemical engineer.
you don't know the
scientist.
industry, then it
Yeah.
must be quite challenging.
It was so the solution for that for me was to find someone that is an expert in that field, but where the disconnect happened is where I just delegated everything and just relied on
And didn't oversee enough.
and didn't oversee enough, and then I would trust, almost like a blind trust, in that person to carry it forward, but it wasn't really effective, and it's not really the way. And as a result, I had to. That position was in such a high turnover because every single time I would learn something new, and just by the end of it, it was, it cost me a lot.
But I'm going to say that must have been a massive learning experience.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge learning experience. Mainly, don't go into something that you don't have any proper understanding of. So
Yeah.
that was the number one for me. And second, just don't be like a micromanager, because I was micromanaging a lot of things, because on one hand I didn't understand the industry, and on the second hand I had to rely on others who knew,
Yeah.
and give
then
them
there's a
that
trust level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, I would micromanage because, I'm not sure this is the right way. I'm not sure they
Yeah.
can do it. Let me just oversee everything. And
Yeah.
so,
But it
Yeah.
takes. It's interesting that you're wearing a T-shirt saying courage. It takes a lot of courage in that time, especially in the UAE, to start a business
Yeah.
and to have such, massive outgoings. Because, only till recently did you, if a check bounced or anything, if you
Yeah.
anything like if you owed the bank money or whatever, it was like
There
the
was criminal
repercussions were
repercussions.
huge.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you.
thank you. I mean, it definitely wasn't easy. One of my friends, one of my close friends said, when I decided to, move on from that industry, he said it really takes courage to build a business, and even more courage to close it down.
Yeah.
Long story short, what happened was, when the lockdown hit, obviously there's no laundry to be done.
Yeah.
There's no dry cleaning. There's no events to cater to as well. So 3 months in, 4 months in, we knew that we had to close down the business. And
So this was after having the business for how many years?
for about 4 years, 4 years and a half or so. And that's when I decided to close it down. And then when I did, it wasn't the best. I would say I wasn't in the best mental state
Yeah.
at the time as well. Because
I was going to say, how did you feel
a
at that
hard time.
time?
sorry,
How did you feel at that time?
that was the lowest point for me, for sure. 2020, August 2020. So
It's amazing how people remember.
about 3 years.
It's like
Yeah, you can
etched.
feel it still sometimes.
Yeah, about almost 3 years ago. That's exactly the time when I decided to close it down.
And what was the trigger for closing it down?
So the trigger mainly was, so there's the financial aspect. We just, because it was just a thin margin
Yeah.
that we had at the time because of the price wars that we engaged in. So financially, it didn't make sense to go on. And even more than financially, which is like the actual main thing, is that during the period of just, that reflection, the first month, April,
Yeah.
and, from the lockdown as well.
Yeah,
I also got
it
COVID.
was like April, May, June. That was the 3-month. We had 3-month lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, that's when I spent a lot of time thinking, the past 4 years and a half, what have I been doing? What impact did I create? I've got a really good education, my master's
One
degree, and I
second.
set it
I'm
aside.
going to hold you for a second. Why was impact so important to you?
Because that's what I always wanted, you know what I mean? Yeah, when I wanted to start a business, I wanted to create that impact, create jobs, create something that lasts.
Yeah.
Not just,
So is
yes,
impact legacy to you? What does impact mean to you?
Impact, I guess it would be legacy. So, and somehow I was selfish in that regard. But at the same time, I wanted impact. I wanted people to, see this business as their, as our local business kind of thing, our local shop. Somehow connect with it and just make people's lives easier in that laundry aspect. So for me, yes, I guess that would be impact in that narrow kind of field.
But it sort of sounds like you also you sort of want to make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Difference to the world you live in. Like that, I heard that more than just a selfish legacy.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
Because
something
you mentioned about
selfish.
job creation.
Yeah,
you mentioned about the
I
opportunity
didn't
in
hear
community
anything. I
connection.
don't think you're giving yourself enough credit there.
Yeah.
You think so?
100%. I did not hear anything selfish in impact for you. None. It's actually quite beautiful. Quite beautiful. So back to your story. You had 3 months to be able to think and reflect.
Yeah, and then that leads us to the start of 138 and how it really came about. So the first 3 months of the lockdown, I'm thinking, okay, people are socially distanced. What can we do to bring people together? And that's when I came up with the brand 138. And this is gonna sound cheesy at the
We
beginning.
love cheesy.
One sentence, 3 words, 8 letters. I love you.
I love you.
And so the whole idea, the whole concept of 138 started as a flower delivery business that I wanted people to say I love you to their loved ones with a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
And that was completely online. And luckily I had at the time, one of my close friends, they run a florist business for weddings and events. And that time also events were not going on.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a perfect matchup. And I'll do the most of the e-commerce bit because I want to operate in e-commerce. This was always a passion of mine, even before the laundry. And and we had long discussions, I would say, for several months. But I just realized at the end, I think we both realized that.
Who's we?
So me and my potential partners, LMF. So they're the florist. And so we decided that, okay, I'm at a different stage and they're at a different stage. I was ready to go and I think they needed a little bit more time. And I think that's when we just agreed that it's not
This isn't the right fit.
Yeah, it's not the right fit otherwise.
And up until that point, you'd had no experience in the floral industry either.
Nothing. No, I mean, yeah, but see, from my experience in the laundry, I was like, if I'm gonna do flowers, I need someone that knows flowers.
So that experience with the laundry was a massive learning curve,
Huge,
which
I would
impacted then decisions in terms of how you do business in the future.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But sadly, it didn't turn into a meaningful business at the time. But then I had this concept of 138. How can I really bring people together? And I was during that time I would follow a lot of content creators and podcasts that kind of around the self-growth, personal development, and just life, positive kind of podcasts that would help frame your mindset, let's say, towards the right direction. And as I was just recovering from closing down my business. And I was really inspired by some of these creators who were able to monetize their passions by creating meaningful merchandise. And so I started sampling. I started buying from them because just to support them. And then, that's when an idea came to mind. I'm like, okay, how can I do this, but like with 138? How can I make it more meaningful, but for the local community? And so that's when I decided to make it more sustainable, and I started sampling from like everywhere. I would use a satellite shipping service, I think they would call it, and I would just send random samples from everywhere for cotton, organic cotton, recycled polyester, and just test for about 4 months, four months and a half, and that's when I had everything together. I found the right supplier, and that's when we launched 138. At the time, it was 138 Dubai. I just wanted to attach Dubai to the name to give it more
the local.
Yeah.
Homegrown.
And that's when I started. 3 months later, we got in touch with Dan Bolton, the experiential, thanks to Roa.
Yeah.
She really loved the story.
It's a great story.
It is.
Hold on, but you just said we again.
Sorry.
So you just said we decided. So do you have are you working with a partner?
It's just me, myself, and I.
Okay.
We.
Yeah. But we
All
as the
three.
brand, I guess.
We as the brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's-
I'm thinking ahead.
I find it really interesting that you started off 138 with the initial idea of it being like a floral service,
Exactly.
and it completely transitioned into something completely opposite on the spectrum. Like merchandise and clothing and t-shirts is so far removed from
But not
From
flowers.
fashion. I guess so. That's the thing. So when, I guess now that you're saying it, maybe something is clicking at the back of my mind. when I was let go of the previous job, I wanted to prove myself and prove to the world that I can do it, you know, and build a business. So that's when I started the business. And so when that thing didn't work out with the florist, and the flower concept didn't work, I just had the name and I just wanted to make something out of it. And maybe that gave me another reason to kind of pivot and just keep it. The challenge though was whenever I would, because we were operating 100% online, when I would participate in local pop-ups and I would explain to them the story of how we came to be, you know, a sustainable brand from a florist delivery business, it was just very confusing.
Yeah.
It just didn't make make any sense. And I don't think for them, like, it made sense to me. So that was like part of
your
my
journey.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. You've gone through that.
Exactly. But that was my story. And I think at the pop-up, when I'm interacting with customers, they don't really, let's say, care about that part of the story. They really care what the brand is all about.
Yeah.
And so I had
to me, it sounds like you ended up giving a gift to yourself.
Yeah.
You gave flowers to yourself. So
interesting. It's nice.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what you did. Because in the end, you gave yourself the gift that you've, you know,
you're intending to give.
Well, you know, your dreams come true.
Yeah. And also, like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, being fired from
You know,
the
you
job.
wanted to give,
business
you wanted
failing.
to bring people together. You wanted to make people happy. You wanted to give them joy. But ultimately, what you actually did was give it to yourself.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah,
very
I
deep.
guess so. That's very.
Lily took it to a really deep place this afternoon.
I
That
do
was,
weird things sometimes, but do you know what I mean? This is now your gift, because you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to make an impact. You know, you wanted to connect people. You wanted to have something deeper, something worth having late nights for, or working really hard for. And what's more amazing than, you know, helping the planet with sustainable brands?
So tell us about the brand now.
That's when the 138 Dubai was born. Again, because of the challenges, I just felt there was a bit of a disconnect. Then a year went by, and again, I would just face this challenge, and I wasn't sure exactly, should I rebrand? I probably need a rebrand. I would probably need a different direction aside from that, because I kind of tried to force my story into the brand story as well. And I had conversations as well with, you know, early adopters or early supporters, also my closest friends. And I was able, through the process, to kind of split the brand from my own story. And that's when I ditched the Dubai name.
Okay.
And I got a different domain name, different branding. And so that's when I came to the 138 way. So the 138 way, and I called it the way because it's more about a way of, let's say, a way of life, a way of sustainable living,
A way of thinking,
and a way of you know, approaching fashion in a more purposeful kind of manner. And I came up with it. I had to keep the flower, just as a resemblance to how we always started. So it's an upside down bluebell flower.
Nice.
And bluebells, mainly Spanish bluebells, are representing kindness, and you know, it's a gift of empathy. And so that's when I redesigned the brand, the 138 way, and I came up with, so the 138 remains the same, but now it's more of a family of kind of values and definitions.
Yeah.
That I hope that this will serve as a way to kind of like bring more meaning into t-shirts and merchandise.
Yeah.
And so the one is our mission, which is to innovate for a kinder world. And our three pillars are sustainability, empathy, and purpose. And then our 8 principles are courage, creativity, learning and growth, fun and adventure, and family and friendship. So
Nice.
it's more about, the community aspect is still there. So I hope it really lands.
It lands.
here.
No, definitely.
It lands.
It feels very personal.
It lands.
It's very personal,
Yeah.
I think.
And then, you know, 138, like you said, it's, you know, I love you. It's you know, you're loving the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And people. With purpose.
With purpose.
Yeah.
So I think even your own story of what 138 stood for still would land. You know, maybe.
Oh, I mean, you mean the flowers?
Well, no, the thought process behind behind 138 in the first place, which was I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
You're
I guess
loving
so.
the planet. You're loving people.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should make a T-shirt just for that.
Yeah.
Just with the 138.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I want one. I want one.
So in terms of where you guys are at now, like what's the plans for the future? Because I'm assuming you still want to challenge yourself. You want opportunity.
I
You
hope
want to
you're,
grow,
I hope you're
develop.
knocking on the door of COP28.
I hope so too. Like, I mean, we have some plans,
Yeah.
possibly.
But also the world's moving into a much more sustainable direction. I mean, we talk about it so much, even we as a business, it's now one of our key pillars.
Well, it's
It's becoming more of a
what is it?
lifestyle.
It's the ESGs. What is it?
Yeah, it's the goals from the
Yes.
UN.
Yes.
I should know them, but like
Yes.
my brain is not working
yes,
today.
loads.
It's economic sustainable goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're
All of
right
them.
there. You're
Yeah.
in there.
We are.
But there must be like grand plans to grow, scale, evolve.
We do.
adapt.
I mean, one of our main goals right now is just to expand our product line. So
Yeah.
currently we do T-shirts and shorts and sweatpants, hoodies. So it's really more about like 4 kind of products that we kind of operate with in different styles: fitted, oversized, relaxed fit. But we really want to expand into more products, more into the sustainable living
Yeah.
category, and not just sustainable apparel. So that's something I'm very excited about, because I think just the term sustainable is all-encompassing. There's so many things that
Yeah,
we
correct.
can work with to make more sustainable,
Yeah.
and because it's also a way of how we do business. We really also want to encourage and want to develop more, I would say, awareness of sustainable practices that consumers can apply in their day-to-day, I would
So-
say.
And how does that translate within essentially the fashion industry? Because the fashion industry is notorious for not being so sustainable. So how do you guys make yourself sustainable?
So one of the main things that we do right now, all our merchandise, all our T-shirts are made from 100% organic cotton.
Yeah.
Got certified Global Organic Textile Standard. We also use 100% recycled packaging. We
Yeah.
work with no issue for full transparency. We also work with Shopify's Planet, which for every order that is placed on our website, a percentage of it goes to Shopify's sustainability fund, where they offset the carbon emissions from that order.
Got you.
And so that's in terms of our product.
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, there's one thing
It'll come
kind of
back.
like-
It'll come back. To
it
you
will come
eventually.
back. It will come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely want to expand this
Yeah.
kind of like impact. I would
Yeah.
say.
And what would be the dream in the
The
future
dream
for
impact.
how that impact would manifest?
Like at one point,
What's
will
the
you sit
ambition?
back and go, "Now I'm good.
Yeah.
I've,
I made that impact.
I've made the impact.
I don't think that point will come really.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I know, like, if you have a goal, right, you'll hit the goal. It's like
And then it's
Then you
like
got
now
another
what?
one.
it's like what Morgan Freeman once said. It's like a mountain, right? You start at the base and then you hit the peak.
Yeah.
But then once you hit the peak, it's like there's another mountain
see
to
the
Then
climb,
you see the next one.
and you see the next one, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I would stop. Like, it's not, when I think when I was younger, I would think, oh, I want to retire at a specific age and have
Yeah.
X amount of money in the bank, but I don't think that's for me right now.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have like a time. Time will tell.
Yeah. And life will evolve. You get to a point where it's like you might want to retire. You might feel like you've accomplished everything
I think it's just too
that
early
you want
for
to
me.
accomplish. I mean, you're only
Yeah.
31.
You've
You're
only
31
just
last
started.
week. Different.
Yeah,
It's
you've
just-
only just started.
Yeah,
You've only just started scratching the surface of what your potential is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
it's just too early.
Mm.
The average entrepreneur, what they say is hits their stride 38 with 44.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
So
Because that's when you find your groove and you've
learned your lesson. Yeah, because you have to learn many lessons.
Messed up enough.
Yeah, but it's true though, because
but it's
to be
not messing
successful,
up.
you have to mess up.
You need to you need to go through that. Success comes with you know. I don't want to use the word failure, but you know, success
failings.
Failings.
You have to, and that's the only way you can learn. Because then it's like you'll never make the same mistake again. Because it's very painful. Like you realise quite quickly.
I've got a great last question then. All right. So for all those entrepreneurs out there, what was the biggest learning that you learned from your experience?
Ooh, there are so many. Where do I start?
Top 3.
Yeah, give us a few.
Okay, so the first one would be to just go into something that really lines up with your core values or core passions, because you just spend a lot of time building a business and sacrifice a lot of things in return, family time, social time, social activities, and a lot of leisure time that you sacrifice to build that business. So if it's not in line with your core values or passions, then you're just going to end up miserable, depressed.
It's going to be work.
Something that I went through as well. And so that's the first thing. Second would definitely be having a very strong circle of support network. It could be your friends or...
Is it more
running a business can be very lonely.
Is it more about mentors, like people that you can get, rely on, bounce ideas on? Or do you mean as a network of just support, as in having friends that you can lean on when you're having... a hard time and that sort of thing? So when you say support network, what do you mean?
I would say, so ideally it would be the best of both. But I think for me, I believe the latter is more important. Having a support network of friends and family that always are there to kind of just listen and without giving you the advice.
And also being outside of the business, because it has such a massive impact on your personal life. So having people which are not necessarily in your business, because you need to switch off from time to time, is a massive requirement.
It's like this quote I heard the other day. It's like, you don't need balance, you need contrast. Because it's
I like
interesting.
That.
Because it's like it helps you just disconnect and see a different see something different
perspective.
Different perspective.
And what's your third one?
My third one.
Give me 3.
I guess just start small. Really.
Good advice.
Whatever it is, just start small. I definitely did not start small with the laundry, and I think that came to bite me later on. I might have not even went so far in the road that I have if I started small, but I kind of exposed myself in the beginning.
Good advice.
So definitely,
But I think as entrepreneurs and business leaders, you're ambitious. That's the reason why you do this. So I think you can get carried away quite quickly in terms of wanting to do two things. I get this all the time. I want to do things too quick. And I want to grow and grow and grow and grow. But like you said, it's like, you got to start
Story
small.
of the tortoise of the hare comes to mind.
On that point, you just reminded me of something that I will say. And that's where the point of having that support network is so good, support circle. So I created this just before I rebranded 138 Dubai to the 138 Way. I created this group and called it 138 Friends, and I invited my closest friends that have always been there to support. And I just straight up told them, guys, I'm inviting you here, and I had this idea. It's gonna change everything, and this is the way that we're gonna go forward. And great, what is it? So 138, one sentence, 3 words, 8 letters, I love you. This is the way, it's a dating app. This is how it's gonna shift from sustainable, and this is how we're gonna sell merchandise, but at the same time, it's going to be a way to connect people in the UAE and bring people together, because that was always the mission. And I just sent, I think, maybe 11, 12 paragraphs of why it would work. And the first thing that they told me was chill. It's not a good idea. It's such a bad idea. And then from there on, they really
Kept you in check.
Yeah, and I probably would have went through that route. Because I was so excited, like you said, you just get so excited.
Yeah, of course,
driven,
get passionate,
want to do it.
Yeah.
But thanks to them, it didn't happen.
You need those checks and balances.
138 could have been a dating app, but thankfully it's not.
It's not over yet.
But on that note, it's an incredible brand. How can people reach out to you?
So we are on all the social channels at the 138 way, 138 in the number. So and the website is the138way.com. You can shop all our merchandise, and for all the listeners, we can give a 20% discount code as well.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll get that sorted.
Love
it. That's you can reach out directly to the brand as well. I manage all the social channels, so
congratulations.
That's incredible. No, well
Thank
done.
you so much.
I'm going to personally vouch for the brand as well, because I love the product.
I'm looking at it right now.
so good.
I'm going to.
For me, it's
I'm
the
not leaving.
quality.
I'm telling you, I'm not going without
you get the
something out of that
swag.
bag, man.
For me, it's the quality, because I really struggle with t-shirts. Like, it's hard to get
no
good,
jokes aside. Good
fabric.
T-shirts with good fabric and good shape.
Yeah, it's a shape which is hard.
Not easy.
But also as well, because we use them for work. You know, we're out in the sun all day. We're running around. We're all sweaty. We're a mess. You know, before midday, and they hold well. Let me just put it that way.
Cop 28, my
I'm glad
friend.
to hear it. Really, it's an honor. And
thank you.
Any time.
I'll
keep sending you some more stuff.
We
have
Cop
some.
28. Cop
Yeah,
28.
we have some more stuff coming.
Cool, excited. Mahmoud, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank
with
you so
everything
much.
else.
Welcome to Rooted Within with Lily and Dan, a podcast that shines a spotlight on positive change makers sharing their stories of legacy, inspiration, and impact.